Alright, you primitive screwheads, listen up. Welcome back to Dark Arts and Entertainment, Grimm's Tales of Japan. And I am your host, Eric, the Brother Grimm Drummond. Now, if I seem a little excited today, it's because I actually wasn't planning on doing today's podcast, or this week's podcast, on this subject, because I was done with reviewing the second season of Asia's Got Talent when the grand finals occurred, and I didn't really want to review the results, except unless the case that there were enough real surprises. Well, and as it turns out, there were some real surprises. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to start with a big, gigantic shout-out and congratulations to my girl, the sacred Rihanna, who won this season. I'm super excited about that. As you know, if you follow some of my other podcasts where I've talked about this, I'm crazy about what she's doing because it very similarly mirror images the world that I do as a bizarrist magician and mentalist with a character rather than just coming out there as myself. She created one of the most unique characters I think I've ever seen in this industry. So she took it, she ran with it, and people were fascinated by it. For all the people out there, and there are a lot of them, especially in the industry and genre of mystery entertainment, who look down on this kind of stuff that we do because it's not supposed to be all that commercially viable. Well, I beg to differ. And now we've got some pretty rock-solid proof. There is a market for this. People do have a fascination with it. And you haven't really seen anything yet. The big surprise was the fact that she won. Now, I was a big supporter of hers. I'm a fan of hers. And that's where my votes went. But I didn't actually expect her to win. I expected the dance crew called DMX to win. I made that prediction on my last podcast, so, great mentalist I am, I made the wrong prediction. But I wasn't alone. A lot of people thought that they would win. And some people are very upset about the fact that they didn't. Most of whom are from the Philippines. As not surprising. Let's just put it that way. The Philippines had a lot of representation here in the final act of Asia's Got Talent in the grand finals. They came in second and third place, and they also had representation. I think one of the other dance crews called Urban Dance Crew as well. So thinking back on it like that, just from a pure voting standpoint, it's actually not that surprising that DMX didn't win because their vote was split too much. But lots and lots of people focused on the one that they thought was the most fascinating. So what are some of the other surprises that occurred during the show is the judges' performances were very good. I think the sound quality could have been a little better, which is surprising for something that's so music-focused, but what can you do? DMX actually, they were good, but they kind of did the same exact thing that they did before. So they didn't bring a new act to the grand final, whereas Rihanna did. So I'm not sure if that helped them, or helped them make their case with all the controversy, in quotations, controversy, surrounding their second place. I don't feel sorry for them. What was his name? Neil, that came in third place, the beatboxer, and DMX, and pretty much everybody that's in that show right now, they've got a career ahead of them. Like I mentioned, that was the grand final. I loved it. It's one of the best ones I've seen in the Got Talent genres yet. That final could go on tour. Those acts could be a variety show in and of themselves. But what was also kind of surprising was the reaction to the win from both Rihanna the other contestants and the show, and of course the comment section warriors. Now from Rihanna, this is the part that I was wondering about most. Like, if she won, what would she do with the kayfabe? Would she break kayfabe? Would she break character? A little bit even, or a whole lot, or just completely break character, or remain in character the entire time? I was really wondering which one of those options that she would take, and she took the remain in kayfabe at all cost. This is an old school bizarrist and magician's method, which increased my respect to her, even if it would short-term harm her, and it will. Here's why. The way she doesn't break character, she doesn't talk at all. She'll turn her head and twitch her head away from anybody holding a microphone to her. She just does her thing, and then she'll just stand there and twitch and glare. Even when she won, there's the gold all around her, the golden confetti, the big congratulations and the big party, and she just stood there remaining in character. And you could tell it really pissed off the people in the show. The other acts would come out and they would congratulate the winner, and no one really wanted to. It was funny to watch for me. The judges came up and they only kind of sort of congratulated her. You could tell, particularly when it came to David Foster, that they were getting a little miffed at the fact that they couldn't actually communicate with her. Good. See, that may have seemed to score a few unfortunate points to her at right there in that final. But it will help her in her career later on. I promise you that. Not breaking character, remaining in that mystery, is exactly what she needs. This is not a person whose act is going to be going around doing private bookings. This is a person whose act is going to go into theaters, and you're going to come and see it. And you're going to get every bit the mystery that you think you're going to get. And the second thing that the controversy, there's really little that you can do about that as a fellow contestant. Yes, you want to congratulate the winner. You want to show your respect to the person who managed to not only have a great talent, but also to play the game and win. But how do you do that with a character like hers? So she put a lot of other people in a very difficult position. And the ending of the show was a little uncomfortable and awkward. And let's kind of leave it there as being somewhat polite. Now, for the comment section warriors, they're just ridiculous. Pretty much in every way you can be ridiculous. But then again, that's what comment sections are for. Now, of course, you'll notice that the vast majority of the criticisms and hate and vitriol about how outraged people were about the fact that she managed to win, pretty much 99 out of every 100 of them came from the Philippines. So, no real surprise. But some of the justifications that they used were were of course just flat out wrong. Now, saying that DMX should have won, maybe, then frankly, that's your fault that they didn't. Because you didn't get enough people to vote for them. You split the vote, probably. You have the option to vote up to 10 times for whoever you want and put those votes in the categories wherever you want. If you split your votes up and the one that you didn't want to win managed to get more focused votes, well, then frankly, you lost the game, and that's kind of how you deserve to lose. If you didn't drum up enough support from other people to push who you think should win, again, that's your fault. So don't blame anyone else for not doing what you would prefer them to do. That just makes sense to me. To say that she doesn't have a talent, though, that's one of some of the comments that I'm reading that I'm most fascinated by to say that she doesn't have a talent. Of course she does. That stuff is not easy. That stuff is not easy to do, like, in general. It's not easy to do in front of people watching you, and it's definitely not easy to do in a character that makes people want to take time and money out of their life to come and see it happen. So yes, you're just flat out wrong about that. I like the comment that said that, well, she's not as good as other magicians like David Blaine and David Copperfield. Yeah, she is. Yeah. You know what their secret is? They're just as good as magic as most other working magicians. Their secret is the fact that they figured out how to present it in a way that makes you think that they're the best. And her presentation of magic is just as good and legitimate as anyone else's. So again, you're just kind of wrong. And the sore loser syndrome that I'm seeing all around, Facebook and YouTube and so forth, is frankly just embarrassing on your part. But, that's what those comment sections are. They say the comment sections are the bathroom wall of the internet, and that's actually, I don't agree. I think they're the bathroom floor of the internet. Now, what does this mean for the future? For me, personally, it's highly encouraging because, again, I do bizarrism. Not quite to the full unmitigated extent that she does. I break a little bit of kayfabe during the show, but not much, especially because I have to inject humor into what I do. Otherwise, some of my routines just wouldn't work. I break kayfabe completely for these podcasts and for the videos that I have on YouTube and so forth. That's a business decision on my part. I couldn't go 24/7 character the way she does and still be able to carry my my business practices the way I do, and I wouldn't be able to give these podcasts to you. So a little bit of break needs to occur. I have a few videos on my YouTube channel too where I do some magic for some people, and none of those are in character at all. I mean, I'm completely not in character. Those are things that I did for friends, or just a little something that I was working on and playing around with as an idea. But when you see those, you're not seeing what you would get if you came to one of my shows. Now, with Rihanna's win, I'm going to make some adjustments. I'm going to stay in more character. I'm going to pour the character on more and break the kayfabe less. What was keeping me from doing it before was just concern over the business end of show business. I'm not going to go 24/7 the way she does, but I am going to make some adjustments because it's proof positive that the market does exist for this kind of thing. I'm very happy to see that. I'm very grateful for her. So if you're listening and twitching as you're doing so of this podcast, so thank you very, very much. You have to have a thick skin to do anything in performance art. So I'm not going to say, words of encouragement like ignore the hates and all that stuff, because we do. That's just a natural part of things. So, without further ado, I can't wait for Season 3. I hope they have a Season 3. It's actually somewhat surprising to me right now that an announcement about Season 3 hasn't come out yet, because it did right after Season 1. I mean, like the day after they announced that they had renewed things for a second season. And here it is a couple days after, and I still haven't heard anything about it. I've searched about decisions on Season 3. There is a slight chance that they won't have one. I can't imagine, because the ratings I have seen. And again, this show over here in this part of the world is just smashing records apart. So I can't imagine that they would just let this go. Maybe they're a little weirded out by the way things ended and are having some talks before they do a Season 3. That I can imagine. But if there is, again, I'm going to do everything in my power, which is considerable, to get over to one of the live auditions and do my thing as well. I don't want to be known as the guy who followed the sacred Rihanna as far as trying to ride her coattails. I'm going to do my thing the way I planned on doing it before. But I think hopefully she opened the door for people to consider that a little bit more. And that, again, is something I'm very grateful for. If you ever come to Japan for a show, I will be the first in line for a ticket. If you end up seeing something that I do and think that it would work with you, I would love to do a collaboration. So, without further ado, there we have it. Season 2, I thought was outstanding. I thought it was way better than Season 1. I have some suggestions on my previous podcast as to things that I would like to see for future seasons as far as some changes and tweaks go. Take them as you will. And next week, I'm planning on taking the week off from podcasting, but I will return the following week after that. Back to our regularly scheduled spooky weirdness, and hopefully we will see you then. Until then, congratulations to Rihanna and Asia's Got Talent Season 2. You did great. Hope to see you again someday, and remember, some mysteries are not meant to be solved. They're meant to be savored.